Hello and welcome to the Final Frontiersmen, a YouTube channel about all things Trek with a heavy focus on the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. Today is not going to be about the role-playing game, but a different sort of game, as we are having our very first board game review, a Star Trek game, shocking, board game review for the channel, and I am joined with a very special guest that you may have seen before on this channel if you watch especially our live play series of Star Trek Adventures. We have Lieutenant Frank Drake himself, David. David, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Very happy to have you. And there's a very important reason why you are here doing this review of the board game with me, as opposed to just a random guy I found on the street. And why is that, David?
Because I finally went back to Japan and spent 2 days of my 2 weeks of Japan playing board games with you.
2 days? You have 2 weeks in Japan. You gave up 2 entire days just to sit in my living room and play board games, and I am so happy. We actually planned to go out into the city and do stuff, but I bought a new Star Trek board game, and I wanted to, just relive the old days, like come in, we'll play a game, and then we'll go out. But the result of that first session of the game kept us in there for about 8 hours as we just kept on playing. So, would you like to tell everyone what this is a review for, the name of the game? Do you even remember the name of the game?
I do remember the name of the game. It's Star Trek Cryptic. Thank you very much.
Cryptic. So this is, now, if you're looking at the layout here, it's very different. This is the usual interview layout for this channel, but the reason is there's not really a lot of images I will be showing you for the game because it is full of spoilers, and if I show you too many images, I will probably at least spoil some elements of the story that you're going through, and I don't want to do that. So I will probably cover up one of our faces every now and then with some image to illustrate what we're talking about. But mostly it's going to be the things that you will see on the box or in the rule book as soon as you open it to teach you how to play. So the stuff that they are comfortable spoiling for you to teach you how to play, those will probably be roughly the kind of images that I will show you and nothing more. So we are in this mode here. Star Trek Cryptic is by Funko Games, and it is described as an escape room style game. Now, I don't really play escape room style board games, and I've never actually gone to an escape room before, but I know what they're about. I could see what they're talking about with this game. What it is you have 3 missions in the box, and each mission is based around one starship. David, do you remember the 3 starships and what they were?
They were the Galaxy Euclid, the Nebula Dorsey, and the Defiant Radiant.
You follow your unnamed, faceless Starfleet character's career from a cadet and just going through the years being stationed on these 3 different ships over a span of time. So starting with the Euclid, you open the envelope. The envelope is really neat. Probably put that image on there. The envelope is the dedication plaques for these 3 starships. So you get the plaques for the Euclid, the Dorsey, and the Radiant. And you open the envelope or shred it, as I accidentally did for the Euclid. Damn it. And inside are all the things you're going to need to play that third of the story. And it's a pretty, it's not super long, but it is a pretty hefty story. How long would you say it took us to do one envelope, one whole starship story?
I mean, the first one took us a little longer as well because we were getting into it, but it was like, because we were there for about 8 hours, like 3 hours for the first one.
I think it was, it was definitely over 2 hours for the first one, simply because we were just kind of stumbling our way through it. Now, we also did have a dinner break. Not a fancy restaurant in the city like we were going to, but instead delivery. bringing us little bentos to the door as we kept on serving on these ships. So it
Get to the game quicker.
Yeah, I think it was probably roughly about 90 minutes to 2 hours for each envelope.
Yeah,
on
sounds about right.
average, maybe. So definitely a lot longer for the first one, though, as we were just giggling the whole time as we're figuring out what to do and how to play the game as well. But it's really easy to play. David, do you want to explain how to play? I don't want to be the one to keep talking.
So the game, the missions are split up into a bunch of story-based puzzles. So the puzzles have a few different kind of styles to them. And there's two main ones in particular. The first one is using your little tricorder, which was which was actually pretty damn fun. Following that, there it is. There's the in half of its beauty. It's missing the screen.
Yeah, but there's a reason. There's a reason for it.
There's a reason.
There's a reason.
Then another one of the ones that happened quite a few times were the, I don't know how you describe them, kind of get from point A to point B. And basically a drawing puzzle, without going into too much detail, but drawing puzzles, which were quite fun to watch, especially like, oh no, I've definitely failed, but I gotta keep going. I killed someone, it's fine.
Yeah, those ones are called pathways. So they have puzzles for like the word games that you're trying to find the keyword, and the drawing ones, they're called pathways because you're basically drawing a path on the card. Those were really exciting. So you have those two puzzles, and then succeed or fail, you'll still continue the story. The story will still go forward. You'll still turn to the next page. It will prompt you what to do. But you're basically earning merits for these puzzles. The better you do, the more merits you get. If you need to get a hint for a puzzle, because it'll give you little hints on the bottom that you could look up in the back. Because mainly for the word puzzles, the ones where the tricorder and some of the other clever things come in, you're going to look up a word in the glossary in the back, and if it's the right answer, it'll have a little passage about the story to read in there, and then direct you to go back to the next page and continue the story as it is. But if you can't get it, at the bottom of the page, it also gives you a keyword for the hint. So you go back to the glossary, you look up that keyword, and it will give you a hint on how to solve that particular puzzle. And if you're still lost, it gives you a keyword for the answer itself. So you could go and look up, it's not the same answer that you're supposed to be finding, but you go and look up this keyword, and it basically solves the puzzle for you, so you could keep the story going. So you're never going to be stumped in this game where, like, I can't proceed any further, I'm dead. Except maybe the very last puzzle. Oh my god.
That was mostly because we were stupid, but we can come back to that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the end. Yeah, that one could stop you dead in your tracks and keep you from the resolution. But otherwise, no, they actually have the little answer thing on there. You could look that up.
They have the little answer. We refused it, but
we refused to do it. We'll get to that in a second. So basically, you have the word puzzles and you have the pathways. And the pathways, again, start at point A and get to point B. You have to draw very carefully. Now, they are interesting because you'll have a picture. It'll give you an image. And you put a clear sheet on top of this image. You use a dry erase marker. And you put a circle where the start is. And you look at how you're supposed to draw this pathway. And where you're supposed to go. Sometimes it's going directly to a goal, or you might have to stop along the way at one or more points before you get to the goal. And so you look at the picture, and then when you're ready, you take the clear screen off, you slide the picture away. You have to keep it a certain length away.
One pen
length away. You can still look at it, but it has to be that distant away, and then you just freehand draw where it's supposed to go. And then you flip the card over on the back, and the back has the solution where it shows if your pen hits this, you get a penalty. If your pen hits that, you get a penalty. If you miss this part, you get a penalty. So then you lay the sheet back on top and you see if your line intersects with any of these bad lines, or if you miss any of the goals you're supposed to reach. And those were exciting.
Those were so much fun.
Those were really fun. Like, it's so transporting too. It shows you in the introductory rules to teach you how to play it. Like, transporting as well. You're trying to draw around a group of people to, the confinement beam, get around the people there. And I may have disarmed a friendly ally, and I'm not talking about their weaponry either. So had a little mishap on there, but those were so fun to do.
Those were so fun
and so nerve-wracking. We took so many photos of those moments, of the results, and even a video of David on his first one of trying to get the pathway drawn of piloting the ship through an ion storm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got the video of you disarming someone. So
do you have that?
I have that. I'll send it later.
I want to see that. Yeah, I messed that up horribly, but anyhow, that's basically how you play. So if you succeed, you'll with no failure, you'll get the maximum amount of merits. The story will continue. If you have like any penalty, like you have to use a hint for the word puzzles, or you hit one of the danger areas in the pathways, you'll lose 1, 2, 3, 4, however many merits it'll tell you when you're going back. But then the story will continue, and you'll complete the story of the USS Euclid. It tells one whole contained story from when you're brand new as an officer in Starfleet. I believe you're still a cadet and it's your first assignment. Then it'll jump you a few years into the future, serving aboard the USS Dorsey. You'll have a completely new self-contained story. Then finally it throws you a few more years when you're on the USS Radiant. Defiant class ship. And that's the final chapter of the story. And there's some callbacks to previous things, but mainly there are 3 individual stories in your character's career through Starfleet. And at the end of each section, end of each ship's story, you count up how many merits you have, and you compare it to see what your score is and what your rank is. And then you go same thing at the end and that's it. It's basically a hands-on immersive Star Trek experience. It's not much of a game. It is a game, but it's not much of a game because it's going to keep going. It's going to keep taking you there. You're not going to lose. You might screw up immensely and beam someone's arm off, but the game is still going to keep going. And you're not going to have to deal with like, oh, okay, we got reset, go back to the beginning. It's meant to be told as a linear tale of your character's Starfleet experience. And that's it. So, David, tell me what you thought of this game.
Like, admittedly, I wasn't 100% on it, like how it was going to be at first. Like, it's going to be a bit repetitive, maybe. But no. It most certainly was. I mean, hell, I was the one who originally wanted to go into town, but we cancelled that. I cancelled that. We aren't going. We're finishing this. I want to see what happens at the end.
Yeah, that's what you said. I'm like, oh, thank God, because I was expecting, okay, we'll play. It's going to probably be long, so I hope he doesn't mind. But we'll play the one ship. We'll play it to the end. I hope he's up for it. Then we'll go out, and maybe later I'll play the last 2 ships by myself since I have no other person to play it with. And when we're done, David's like, we don't actually have to go out. We could see where this is going. I'm like, are you serious?
I can see it another day.
Yeah. And the next day we didn't go out either, but that's a completely different story. More board gaming.
No.
But yeah, we went there from like 4 p.m. to midnight, and we got through the entire box, and it was an experience. What did you enjoy the most about it? Because I know you enjoyed it. I know you.
Oh, I definitely enjoyed it. That was so much fun. To be honest, the pathways, they were so much fun, even when you're not doing it, because you're watching the other person doing it, like, Oh no, they've gone too far to the left. They've gone too far to the right. They've killed someone, and then they flip it over and it's like, oh no, they did really good. Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they disarm someone.
Or disarm someone. Would you leave it alone? But
Never.
there was, yeah, I just love the one pathway you did where this guy, this rogue, he just slides the thing off. He just grabs the pen and just like flip. And like, have you just given up? He's like, no, it's just don't want to overthink it. And like, literally, he just like a flip, like nothing. Like, oh my God. And then we put it
Then
on.
again.
It was perfect.
Go on.
It was perfect. We slid it on. We checked and like holy crap! You narrowly went through all that.
Narrowly missed it, but that was me panicking about overthinking, and then there was your one where you overthink, like, is this far enough? Is this far enough? Is this will be far enough, right? And you kept going just a little bit more, and then again, slowly but sure. I'm sat there going, wow, like it's gonna be really awkward if he misses all the stuff here. But everything, 2 objectives you had to stop off at. Perfect right across the board. I'm sat there going, how?
It was close though. It was close though on the one objective.
It was close.
The wall was here, and I'm just sliding along the wall. I'm like, but I still made it.
It fits the story.
I still made it. Yeah, I think the pathways were really exciting, but what else was exciting was this thing.
That was surprisingly exciting, yeah.
I mean, holding the tricorder, but the interesting thing, like when you look on the back of the box, you'll see the tricorder and you'll see a screen on here. And I think most people will understand just at a glance exactly how it's going to be used. Like, oh, okay. So you see the little red film. So you're going to have one of those little red diagrams where there's something hidden underneath it that you're going to use. And like, yeah, they do have that for one part. You're scanning that. But what surprised me is that's not the only mode of the tricorder. There are additional modes that go into here that change how you're using the tricorder and what you're using it for, just like in the TV show. And it's like every time we found a new one, we're like, oh my God, look, we're doing this with the tricorder now. And
how does this work?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was, yeah, the hands-on, the tangible, the realia that they have, isolinear chips. You're actually, if you watch Star Trek and you go engineering, you know there's always issues where they have to reset the isolinear chips, move around to get it to do what they need to do. And you have that in this game in multiple sections. And it's a pretty, each time they're different, kind of hard puzzles trying to figure out how you're supposed to be reslotting these chips to do it. David was amazing at cracking the code for doing that. It's like, okay, you have to move number 4 over 3 slots and up 1. And like, where are you getting that? And
yeah, they were fun. But I mean, because it's not like it explained how you're supposed. Yeah, we can't. It's not explaining how to do it. It kind of goes, okay, so you need to move the isolinear chips. Here's an image, and it's like,
huh? Like, how?
Okay.
And you just have to take a look. Yeah, you have to take a look and see what the puzzle is. And be like, oh, okay, wait, look at this diagram over here. Look at this console over here. But the thing is with the sliding of the chips, it's because the interior of the box, the interior tray of the box, is probably going to destroy the whole thing, trying to take it all out. But when you take out everything in the box, it tells you when you get to the isolinear chip part to remove the interior like storage, and there you go. You have your whole console to slot the isolinear chips. But that's the other thing about the box, David. What was so fascinating about the box?
Nothing went to waste with this game. Everything had a use.
Yeah.
Without spoiling too much, everything has a use. Don't throw anything away.
Do not, yeah. Don't be like, okay, I'll just throw all the baggies into my bag and we'll go play at a friend's house. You need the box. You need everything. They're using like all the innards. They're using every last thing you find in here.
Every single thing.
In a very clever way too. And more than once, more than once, and you keep going back like, no, what are they doing? I thought we were done with this. But they're so creative the way they did it. I was constantly smiling. I was constantly surprised. Oh, I do want to say one thing though about spoilers that we stumbled across here. When you're opening these envelopes or shredding them, the envelopes for the ship, like here's the USS Radiant, the final one, the Defiant class one. Pulling it, like it'll tell you open up the envelope and remove the contents. I would recommend very carefully just pulling it out, keeping everything in the stack as it is, because the images that you'll have for the pathway cards, they're kind of spoilers for what you will eventually encounter in the story. And every time I pulled it out, I can't remember which direction. Just be careful. Most of the time I was pulling it out, it was the reverse side up where you're seeing the solution on the back. So I had to hurry and flip it over. So I think all the cards are in order. So if you pull it out slowly with the face side up, yeah, you'll see the first one there. But just slide it off the top and then slowly go through it if you want to avoid every last spoiler. Like you won't know for story. But I want to ask you, David, what did you think of the story?
The story itself was quite like it started off obviously very small level because you're just a cadet, you're not doing much, but the story itself just expanded and expanded, and then stuff from was it this I can't remember stuff from one mission lot came in later on, and this had an effect on that, and then again. No spoilers. The twist at the end.
Yeah.
It was like, wait a minute. The timeline on this.
Yeah.
That one.
There,
you know what I'm on about.
There are surprises though. If you're a fan of Star Trek, like Next Generation, especially Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, that era of Star Trek, you will see some familiar faces. You will hear some familiar names, familiar places, familiar items. The people who wrote the story definitely know Star Trek at least well enough for it to feel like a natural, smooth fit into the universe. There was one line and one thing where it sounded like, would that be something said at this moment in time, like just looking at the star date? But again, that's when David was reading it, so I didn't have a chance to go back and see if I misheard it or anything of the sort. Also, there was a special guest character, and I would have to say I'm glad David was reading the passage at that time. You did a wonderful impression of that voice, and that is going to live forever in my mind. So
I can't do the voices,
but you did it well enough. I could visualize, and in fact, he started out saying the first line that the character spoke in the scene, and the way he said it, along with like the lead up line, I called out exactly who it has to be. And yeah, David,
that did make me a little happy that you got it.
Bravo. Like, you got that down. And again, if you haven't watched our previous video where where David was on talking about how basically he got into Star Trek via the Star Trek Adventures game that we played, he basically binged the whole thing just in the past 2 years. Like you're not going back from like the 90s being a huge fan of it.
Been more than 2 years now, Bill. It's been more than 2 years now.
Has it been? How long have we been doing this? Oh my god!
I think it's closer to 3, but yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah, we've been doing this for a while, but yeah, like it was just a joy to play. It was a joy to watch. Do you have any downsides to the game before we end this? Are there any negatives here?
I mean, that's the thing with this. Even when you open the box, it has a big stop sign saying this is not a normal game. And it's not. You go, it's not so much a board game. It is an experience.
Yeah.
And the only downside to it being an experience is you can only experience it once if you don't leave it for a good number of years and forget everything. Because the pathways you can reattempt, do better this time, try not to crash into a giant asteroid. Try. But some of the word puzzles in particular, if you've got a relatively good memory, it's going to stick in your head. And as soon as you come to that puzzle, you're like, okay, yeah, the answer is A, B, C. That's my only real downside to it, is that I can't play it. I can't re-experience the joy that I had
Yeah,
the
you
first
would
time
need
around.
a new expansion or a new version of it to come out. And now
Mm-mm.
Funko Games, they have other versions of this Cryptic series. There's like an Indiana Jones one, and there's a couple others too. So I'm sure it has the same quality content, the same kind of tangible things you get to play around with. But for me, like Star Trek's thing, they did such a good job. I want to add on to what you said, David, and I want to say, if they do make another version or if they make an expansion, I would like if your performance actually changed the story. So it's not like you finish with the Euclid and then the Dorsey is going to always be the exact same Dorsey story. I would like it because you get scored at the end based on the merits you have. If you got up to this rank in it, you follow from this page. If you go up to this rank, you follow from that page. So you have maybe not a completely different story, but maybe a slightly different story, or a different types of puzzles, maybe a different
Mm.
cards that you use at the time. So something just to add a little more replayability, or something to entice you to go back and try it a
Mm-mm,
different way,
mm-mm.
try a different path, or give you actual choices in the game, where there are a couple in here, not too many, but it'll be like, if you want to do this, solve this puzzle. If you want to do that, solve that puzzle. But again, the following story is still going to be the same. So if they had that branching aspect in the future expansion or a future version of this, oh, I would be so down for that.
Yeah, so. I mean, admittedly, we thought that at the beginning as well, anyway, because it says jump to page whatever to find your answer,
Mm,
and then jump to this page. We were like, oh, are we going to be jumping around for different stories? Alas, not. It
no,
didn't take away from the
no,
fun, but
no.
the option is there that they could do that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that would be an incredible addition, and I'd be super down to play.
I would be down
Let's
play, and I
fly back
think
to Japan.
you fly right back, please. But I think you said the key thing though about it. Even though it's kind of a gripe we have here, it didn't take away from the fun. It was
No,
it's a one-time thing, it's a one-shot thing, like David said, but it was enjoyable through and through, except for the end. We really screwed that up so bad.
we got the answer.
We
We got it. I don't know how we got it, but we got it.
Yeah,
That's the main
because we
thing.
messed up horribly. We messed up horribly, and the, the weird thing is, we messed up, but we still got a clue out of it. Like, it maybe sounded worded weirdly, but like, it wasn't like gibberish. And we're looking like, what the
Mm-mm.
heck does that mean? Because we were wrong, but it happened to give us like words. And
Yeah, yeah.
sadly, well, it we stared at that for a while, and then we even actually lost merits on that because we had to use the hint, and the hint
Which was the annoying thing.
and that was the annoying thing, because we went back to the hint, and basically the hint told us to do exactly what we were doing. Like we know that's not the kind of hint we
We know
wanted.
to do that. We're just doing it wrong.
But then David got the answer. He's like, could it be this? It's like, you might be right. And we go back. That was the answer. And we were just baffled for like 20 minutes afterward, just staring like, what does that mean? How
That
did that
can't be
equal?
right.
That can't be right. So we went back and did the last puzzle again and again. And we're like, oh, and David found
Shoot.
where the break was, where we slipped up. And like, well, that makes so much more sense now.
So much more
That makes
sense.
so much more sense now. But the last puzzle is hard. Is hard. You really should not be playing it in the eighth hour around midnight nonstop when you come
Yeah,
to
it's
that
not the
puzzle.
best time.
So, but overall, I loved it. It was such a fun
Oh
experience
yeah,
to have as
it
a
was so
Star
much
Trek
fun.
fan. And if you have like a fellow Trekkie there with you just to enjoy it, you could play it solo, but I would recommend at least one or two other
One of them. Yeah,
fans who are
definitely.
really into Star Trek just to enjoy it. Love the game. Recommend it, but do keep in mind it is a one-shot sort of thing. Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to add before we close this out?
No, I mean, it honestly was, even for a one shot, it was so. I mean, I was on holiday and I skipped out on my holiday to play the game, so that should hopefully give you a hint as to how much fun we had playing it. So, completely recommend it.
Oh yeah,
completely recommend.
Definitely, as a just a fun experience, but the fact that it's a Star Trek experience, I think every Trekkie will at least get something out of it. Every Star Trek fan will at least get some joy recreating those moments that you see on TV and like diving into the world. So really love the game, and I hope more people play it. I hope we see more people out there doing this game. But yep, I think that's it. Shall we wrap this up? Anything?
Sounds good to me.
I don't think I missed anything, but if so, then
I don't think so either.
Then I will talk to you about my regret later. All right. Well, that's it. So thank you again. Thank you for watching. David, thank you for joining us. Please come back.
Quite all right.
And
I would love to.
Yeah, we need you and your input here more. So, hey, if you want to see more David, just don't post anything in the comments down below. Ah, there you go.
Now I'll cry. It's fine.
No, I said don't post anything down.
Oh, don't. Oh, okay, that's fine. That works.
Yeah, so we're going to. Yeah. So I'll tell you, yeah, like they are ignoring us to the extreme. They want you, David. So there we go. All right, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. As always, live long and prosper. Can you do it, David? Can you do the hand?
I can do the
Damn you!
I can do the hand.
Why am I the only one who can't? So yeah, live long and prosper. Peace and long life. Yeah, we'll see you out there. Thanks a lot.
See ya.